About what?
Moving the rest of the math courses in? The rest of your math courses, or some of your college level math courses?
Right. Well, I mean, most of us are already there.
Yes.
But yeah, we don't have our pre-calc, calculus. Those are disengaged.
Yeah. Okay. Of course, Lori wanted to be here. She's like knocking down the door to get in here. They restricted us to 3. So. Of course. Just gotta be careful not to fall.
I don't know which one. I think
Do they have Cap 1, Cap 2? We have Cap 3.
but you had to like those Oh, yes, yes.
Now, were you all here yesterday for the 3 presentations? Oh, wow. So we're holding you up between going home or lunch. We'll make it quick.
Oh, right.
Anything to help. We'll show you maybe 3 slides and say we're out of here. Too funny. Do you want to ask if you guys can, we can have water? Do you want water?
Oh, yeah, that's a great
You want
idea.
water? You do? Mark, can we grab a water? Can we grab a water?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Excuse me. Thank you.
I had a bottle of water in my hand, and this guy came by to heckle me for having a bottle of water, and I was like, I can't figure out what I'm being heckled for right now. For not being eco-conscious. But I wanted to be like, I just bought it, I'm really thirsty. I'm sorry.
Dorothy, no label.
Okay. Are we gonna get a 3, 2, 1?
I think we're like an official countdown.
Yeah.
When are you on?
Yes.
So quiet. Where y'all coming from?
The calm before the storm.
I like the storm. Storm last night. Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Everybody welcome Pearson. You guys have heard the speech before, it's going to be really short. Please don't ask any questions about costs. They're not going to answer any questions about costs. Please stay on script as much as you can. It's okay to go short, as long as you feel like you've covered everything, but it's a hard stop in 2 hours, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, Mark. Thank you. Perfect. Can you hear me still? Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. We are Pearson, your last presentation, we understand. So real quick, we'll introduce ourselves here locally. My name is Josh LaRoche. I'm the Executive Director with Pearson.
I'm Suzanne Greenlee. I'm the account manager for TBR campuses.
And I'm Dorothy Lehman, and I am a sales specialist.
So
as we get started, I know in the room we did provide an outline for you as a handout. We will follow that outline to the almost T. And as you follow it, you'll understand that we're hitting on different points for the presentation. As you have questions,
please feel free to let us know. On the second page is our information, how to contact Dorothy, Suzanne, and myself. Please feel free to reach out if you have more questions even after you leave today. Okay? So real quick, we want to present the Pearson family. Suzanne, Dorothy, and I are simply 3 people that cover Tennessee. There are so many more behind us working in the field at your campuses, talking to each and every one of you, as well as working with your students, faculty, and staff. Some folks, Amy Barnes, Lori Morgan, Cindy, Melissa, there's a group of us that are certainly waiting to hear more about this presentation after we leave today. So just know there is a Pearson family behind us as well, too. All right?
I'd like to say they all wanted to be here today, too. If it were up to us, we'd probably have the Army lined up here to all, get our 1 sentence in.
Absolutely. All right. Let's kick it off.
The button works.
Dorothy.
Oh. Sorry. So I know this slide might seem a little bit silly. And I know you guys are familiar with Pearson courseware and the multiple Pearson brands that we have, from My Math Lab, you know, one of our flagship products, to Revel, you know, in any of our newer products. But I just wanted to highlight that we do have a large suite of solutions. And we have a lot of different ways that we can accommodate your courses in all different discipline levels and all the way up and down the curriculum. So today, while it would be, you know, fun for me to dive into features and really look at all of these different products and the cool things, I'm going to really try and hit on the highest impact features that we have, some of the newest technology that we have that will really put TBR on the cutting edge, and then also the things that you guys use and that are, you know, in heavy use here in Tennessee. With that being said, please feel free to ask if you have any other questions, you know, as we move forward. With all of our different products, our mastering products, our MyLab products, and with Revel, we do have some overarching goals that we want to meet. And the first one is really just to deliver that trusted content. So you guys know the Pearson name, and a lot of you, I'm sure, know the Pearson, some of the Pearson author teams. And so this is not a surprise, you know, that that's one of our main hallmark features, that we do have this real trusted content. Another goal we have is really to empower each learner. So make sure that every student who takes a course here in TBR feels really empowered to continue their education and then to move on, you know, for their best career and life after their education here. And then lastly is really designed for the instructors, that we want you to be able to teach the course in your own way. Because we know you bring the true value into the classroom, so we want to be able to give you the flexible teaching options so that you can really, you know, have your course, teach your course and own it, and, you know, transfer that information to them, to the students, in the way that you know works. So we think that all of our products, all of the MyLabs, Revel, and Mastering really do meet that in that discipline-specific way. So in keeping with following the outline, the first thing we're going to do is kind of talk about the student capabilities and the student features. So these are features from the student's perspective, and I hope this doesn't get too you know, in the weeds, but we do kind of want to present a smattering of different features we have across all different discipline areas. So as far as the categories, the e-text. You know, the e-text is something that we know that students across all disciplines are, you know, demanding and really need, and that gets back to really delivering the trusted content. Like, this is just the new way of the students getting the book. And at Pearson, we have a few different ways that we can deliver the e-text. So the first way is in the MyLab. So the students and the instructor will have access to the Pearson e-text within the MyLab. The MyLabs are e-text based. So that means that the resources and the assessments are all organized based around the text. So if the author team thinks that we need to cover cell structure in Chapter 3, then cell structure will be covered in Chapter 3. It'll be organized that way with all of the different resources that go along with that text. The Pearson e-text, which comes again in the MyLabs and in the Mastering products, it's accessible and it's mobile. So that means that the students have all of the interactive features from within the e-text available on the iPad and on their phone, their iPhone or any Android phone. And so from that, if you think about how the students really use it, it means that if they have a break from work or if they just have a few minutes somewhere, they can sit down with their, you know, with their phone, and they can use those interactive features that are built within the e-text, or take notes, or, you know, go back and really study something that they, you know, missed in class or they want to read. Another big benefit there is that they can download it and they can work offline. Because we want to make sure that they can, we know that even though we take coverage for granted everywhere, there are some places where we don't have online access. And so those students can get to their content without being able to be online. So that was our Pearson eText. Our next eText option we have is Revel. So Revel is pretty exciting for us because it has a little bit of a different story. Revel was the first technology that we have that was built for mobile. So it was originally and natively built to be used on a mobile device. And then after that, it was adapted and added to the computer. So now, of course, students can access it, both in any way. That means, though, that all of the interactive, so within the Revel book, they have different interactive activities, videos that the student can click on, as they're reading through the book, an audio book, and then also a performance dashboard so the student can see how they're doing on their assessments and on the tools that they're using within the Revel book. You can see on this screen a little bit better, so for example, if a student was going to, pull up on their phone and read part of their eText, and they just wanted to listen to it because they were, doing something else, or they just weren't getting it from reading it the first time, they could listen. And then, a lot of ideas are best presented with audio or with video. So like you already said, it has to be in video. So, a student can click there and then they can watch that idea. You can see it's also a very clean look. So that was part of the learning design of Revel, to reduce the cognitive dissonance, to make sure that the student can really understand and get that information in the easiest way possible. Another benefit, just like the Pearson eText, is that you can download this and you can use it offline. So they're not tethered to their internet connection. The third eText option we have, I think you guys may be familiar with also, is the VitalSource eText. So we can, Pearson partners with VitalSource, and of course we can deliver these eTexts for any one of the Pearson titles. And it has the full suite of VitalSource resources, which means that it's downloadable, it's fully accessible for students with disabilities, and it has all of the highlighting and note-taking and all the features that any other VitalSource eText would have. So again, these are the student features that we're going to go through that kind of apply to every different discipline. So we've, have the eText. I hope you guys are, we'll beat you over the head that we know they can get their book, they can get that content in one way or another. Now, a little more exciting, we have interactive resources. So that's a very broad category, and we have a lot of interactive resources at Pearson. And they're a lot different between a sociology course and a math course. But we also have, so underneath there, we have interactive resources that can be used as homework. So meaning they're assignable, and they're things that an instructor can use to help build the learning when they're not in front of their students in the classroom. Then we have content, meaning they can assign it, or it can be things that instructors use while they're lecturing or to supplement their teaching style anyway. If it's a hybrid course or an online course and it's another link that's dropped in D2L, or any other way they'd like to present the content to the students. And then we also have some new interactive resources to truly address students' mindset. So this will be very familiar to anybody who teaches math. But I'll let it sit there for 1 second for anybody who doesn't teach math. This is an example problem in my math lab. And my math lab is one of our flagship products that's been around for a long time, and I think had a lot of proven success here in Tennessee and across the country, really. So this is an example. So this is one math problem. You can see the student has the question at the top, where they're being asked to solve, and then they have some answers or where they need to actually enter in some answers. So on every math problem, we have a suite of interactive resources or resources over here where the student can get help. So the first one here is Help Me Solve This. So when you have multi-step math problems and they get stuck on one step, they can click Help Me Solve This, and it's just like a tutor where it will kind of point them in the right direction. It won't give them the answer, and it won't just, let them move on to the next step and get through it, but it will help them, if it was just one little snag, get to the next step so they can have some success. We also have View an Example, which is just another example problem, very similar, but not, exactly the same problem they're working on right now. We have animations. So these animations are tied specifically to this problem and to this learning outcome. So that means the student, say it's a very visual learner or they're having trouble understanding the way it was presented, in class or by their friend. They can click there and just get another point of view. Then, of course, they can link to the specific part of the Pearson e-text where this problem or where this question is addressed. The final one is Ask My Instructor. So does anybody teach math here? Yeah, so you guys know that, Ask My Instructor, it means that the student can send this problem exactly to the instructor. So it makes it very easy to follow up with the student on their specific questions. Instead of having them just show up in your office and say, I don't understand, or like, I don't get it. You can say, well, I know that you didn't get section 4.4. Tell me where you got stuck, or what didn't you understand here? So hopefully giving the instructor those tools to be able to move forward. Here's another example. In many of our My Labs, we have a multimedia library. So this is a collection of disaggregated content for learning in that chapter or in that book organized by the text. So this is a collection of animations, videos, quick links to small parts of the ebook, and PowerPoints. So this means if you already have a course designed, your perfect course designed, but you just need a little bit more media or you want to, add some more content, you'd have the ability to go to the multimedia library and pick out some things to assign to the students. I think assign is a very key word there, that in the My Labs you can actually assign these different multimedia resources to the students. And then we have questions that are embedded in the video. So here's the example, they're watching this video and then questions built right into there. And then, of course, the answers all feed to the gradebook. So hopefully that makes it easy for instructors. We're getting a little more specific now, but I just wanted to use this as an example that we do have a lot of interactive resources that are very, very specific to the discipline. So these are some of our interactive figures that are available in calculus and pre-calculus right now. And if you don't teach calculus or pre-calculus, I think one of the problems, with students really doing well in the course is their ability to really visualize these complex, abstract ideas. And no matter how many times you say it or describe it or draw it on the board, it's hard for them to get. So with our interactive figures, this gives the students an example, first, to have access when they're out of class. So they can get to these 3D figures, they can rotate, turn, they can really see the three-dimensional nature. And then as they change the variables, they can see as it changes with the equation. So that way they can really tell, I think it gives them a better abstract understanding of, what this means in calculus and in pre-calc now too. So
do you recall offhand, I was trying to remember, do they allow for implicit entrance of those equations? I mean, that one's already solved for C. Am I
memory is they gave like a drop down, some categories of things. You couldn't really enter your own equation.
I think you can enter your own equation.
That's my question here. I mean, that one's solved for Z, which
right.
makes it explicit, and sometimes that's really hard to do. And so
right.
I ended up using an app that just let you type it in however the equation showed up. And you could do the same sort of thing. And I just
right, so you get the 3D.
I just couldn't remember. I was going to log into my class. I'll come back.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can show you, or we can talk about it afterwards and I can pull it up. I know they've made a lot of advancements. So this was launched, I think, almost 2 years ago, and that they have, improved and given a lot more flexibility to the instructor, but I think it depends on the book too. But we can look at it. For anybody not teaching calculus or pre-calculus, I just want you to know that this is an example of some of the resources we have that are designed to address, one specific problem of students understanding abstract ideas in calculus, and that we have those resources across all disciplines. So this is something new that maybe everybody hasn't seen yet. We know that students who come into college or who, are tackling a tough course need to have a growth mindset in order to truly succeed. Pearson has taken growth mindset exercises, videos, and assignments and woven them into some of our new My Math Lab and My Lab titles. So this is based on Carol Dweck out of Stanford, and the idea is that we really need to address all aspects of the students' learning from within our interactive resources. So these are all assignable, so you can choose, if you see this as an issue in your course, this is something you can assign to your students. Or if you don't, or if you don't think this is a problem, then it's just another resource there if the students want to access them. So now I'm going to talk, or actually I'm going to get Suzanne to talk about a few of the resources we have for in the business school and for accounting and economics. So in the spirit of trying to address, again, across disciplines, one of the features that's become a pretty popular feature with instructors in the Business My Labs is the decision tree, the mini simulation. So this requires students, it is branching, so the decision that they make on the first scenario, it'll give them a different answer depending on how they answer. So this does require some critical thinking, and it helps them, practice decision making. Another interactive resource that we have in my Econ Lab are the digital interactives. So this allows students, it makes the information, because Econ can sort of be a tough subject for, students to wrap their minds around, and it makes it relevant. And the fact that it's interactive, we also have like real-time data in here. So when like Fred updates, our My Econ Lab assignments update, including digital interactives, and current news exercises. Again, in the spirit of making it relevant to students and, an application to try to make that connection in learning for economics. And for accounting, here is one of our interactive resources. It's the accounting cycle tutorial. So this chunks out like step by step each part of the accounting cycle, which is essentially accounting 1. And if you don't get, the first step, then you can't really get the second step. So this is one of our newer interactive assignments. It is assignable. You can assign different steps at different times, so there's some flexibility. But it's to give them practice in each step, immediate feedback, and it does have videos and animations in each step too for learning to help them where they're getting stuck. And also there's an accounting cycle tutorial, like a comprehensive problem, so they can kind of put it all together at the end. A comprehensive problem. Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Trigger happy.
I think this is one of the coolest things that we've been doing, and this is, again, across disciplines. So we'll speak to a couple different ones to make it relevant. But it's digital badging. So digital badging, we work with Acclaim, which is a third-party vendor, and digital badging is where you complete something and you actually get something to show for it. You get a digital badge. So it's shareable on social media like LinkedIn. It's something that students can take besides their grade, and it demonstrates mastery. So LinkedIn is sort of the new resume in many ways for this generation. So there's ways to share that, and it's really simple to do. One of the best examples that I know is in use in Tennessee, and even at one of the TBR community colleges that I have been the rep for, is the MyLab IT and Excel. So for students, the Excel skill set is really one that's, to show mastery and sort of demonstrate something too. So there's some things built into the MyLab that allow students, and there's no extra charge, just allows students to claim that badge and share on social media to demonstrate a skill set that really applies to the workforce. Another example is, and actually here's an example of that. If you see here on the 2 certifications, that's actually my niece's profile and on LinkedIn, and she has she's achieved those badge levels in the MyLab. And this also, another place that this is used is in the personal and social capabilities. So for example, we hear that there are skills gaps in some of the soft skills like communication or professionalism. There are ways for students to earn badges like that and share them on their profiles. Is that it?
Yeah, okay. We'll give you credit in social media if you do this. So another, I think, common pain point is writing across all disciplines. And so we have an interactive resource of an auto-graded writing tool that's available. And the idea is that this is a writing tool where students get everything they need in one place. So meaning they don't have to, we're not giving them a handbook and then another digital app, and we're not making it hard for them to improve their writing. We're trying to make it easy in a one-stop shop. So as far as instructors go, this hopefully will allow them to assign writing assignments in large classes. So they don't have to go through and nitpick, assess every single paper, but the students are still able to get some feedback on it. And the goal here is that we want the students to be able to really develop their critical thinking skills and practice their writing. Like, we know that they need to practice in order to write well, of course in their English courses, but also in, writing lab reports and econ papers, and hopefully things all the way up and down the curriculum. So the other thing is that we also are integrated with Turnitin. So that means that's just another resource, like I said, all in one place where the students can go to make sure that they're learning proper citation and making sure that they aren't, plagiarizing anything as they're writing their papers. So we just kind of went through some of a very choice bit of our interactive resources. So in the next section, we're really going to talk about something, I think we're going from least exciting to most, our personalized study and the immediate feedback that students can get in our different products. So really the thing that allows for personalized study with immediate feedback is Pearson's new adaptive technology, which we have woven through many of our different products. And I'll show you some examples today. And the idea is that this personalized path that our technology can offer the students truly gives them a high impact learning experience. So we know that this means that every student is getting the most out of what they're being taught and the resources that they're given at this moment. So here's one example. This is an example of our dynamic study modules. So dynamic study modules are a tool that are embedded in many of our courses. And the way it works is a student is presented with a set of questions. And so this is just, very normal for the student. They're going to get a little quiz. And then based on their correct and incorrect answers, along with their confidence, so they have to rate how confident they are that they're correct, or how confident they are that they don't know this one, they have absolutely no idea. Or, sometimes you can even pick two answers and give it a 50-50, I think it's one or the other. So based on that, a personalized set of learning tools are developed and presented to that student, all based on all the learning theory behind the scenes. So that gives the student such an easy way to study, and then really able to utilize all of the great technology where they're just getting what they need and at the exact point of when they need it. This is also mobile, and so this is a very popular tool for students to use on their phone. And so if you think they need to do a few dynamic study modules to make sure they're getting the information, if they've got it on their phone and they know that they don't have to, in some cases they can even pick two answers, it's very low stakes. And then it gives them those tools right there. So hopefully that gives them the confidence to keep studying and to keep learning based on these resources. We have another tool in the math courses called Integrated Review. So our Integrated Review, if you just think about it, that it is real-time remediation. So in an actual problem set that you have assigned, this will give the students, if they're not prepared or if they don't know some of the foundational things they need to know to succeed in this assignment, it will go ahead and give them some more questions to prepare them for content in this section. So if you think about this as like the, personalized on the spot, like a tutor who's like, oh, it looks like you forgot fractions. Let's go back for a second. Another thing we have is our companion study plan. So this can be used as a substitute for homework. So if you see here, the student, this is all based on learning objectives. So a student can do a quiz me, and then if they show mastery, like if they get 100 and they obviously from the quiz me understand the material, then they can move right on to the next part of the study plan. But if they don't achieve the desired outcome, then they're forced into practice. So then they can go back and practice, and they can use all of the tools they need to hopefully achieve that learning objective. So it really helps them study in their trouble areas. And I know a lot of this is just kind of like no-brainer how to study, but I think it can make the difference for students who are struggling in courses, especially math courses. So here is a skill builder is another tool, and it is a similar idea to that we're looking, we're tracking the students' progress, and we're really trying to provide instruction and information to them at the true point of need based on how they perform in this course. So with Skill Builder, the program knows how students have done in this course, and then it helps them reach success on that exact question. So you can see if they get it not correct, they can click on Skill Builder, and it's going to take them back to be able to build the exact skills they need, the remediation and the foundation, to be able to then go back and do the problem again or be able to get the problem right.
How does it decide? Just how does it decide like how they missed why they missed the problem, or is it just kind of assumed?
I mean, we know if they missed the problem, if they got it wrong. But then with our adaptive learning technology, there is a collection of data points for that student. So like we know this student missed this learning objective because there's like 8 different reasons we have cataloged of why they could have missed this problem. And so then after we have about 2 data points where we can see, okay, you missed this because you don't understand how to add fractions, and you missed this one because you don't know how to understand how to add fractions, then it would throw them a skill builder for adding fractions. So it's based on the data points collected in that specific student account.
Okay, so it takes several times to try to figure that out. I mean,
At least 2.
seemingly the student can miss for various different reasons on different times, right? Like, so you got a simplification problem. Sometimes they miss it because they don't
Yes.
put X in and it's supposed to be X's instead of Y's, or then they miss it because they multiplied wrong or forgot to distribute.
Right.
Or,
Yeah, I took out the slide that would have helped with this explanation.
I was curious, like on a complex problem, how much design goes into sort of
a lot.
deciding what in the world the student just missed.
I think something that's important too is to notice that this carries with the student across their courses, or through their first math course. So we can only make it as personalized as the information we know about each student. So as soon as they start doing work, then we start collecting data points. And we have a lot of information that we gather from each student answer. So I think this is part of the question mapping that we've done, where you can see that, like, we don't just mark it wrong. It's like, it's wrong because of these 4 factors. And then they get a data point there. And then you can see each student's data tree is going to be completely different. It's very cool, though. We can connect about it if you want to look at a lot bigger of a presentation.
The next thing I'm going to talk about is the adaptive learning, or the adaptive follow-ups in mastering. And actually, I'm going to get Suzanne, do you want to talk about this for a second?
Sure.
Oh, man.
I could probably.
Yeah, I don't
think
know.
it's okay if you leave that
Okay.
on. It's just 2 slides.
Okay.
So these are assignable in mastering, and they're assignable for students who've taken it, had an assignment. An instructor can make this an optional, like an adaptive follow-up assignment where students are getting more practice to provide that personalized help for each student on a particular topic. So again, it's just keeping to the whole like personalized study path. This is one way that we do it in mastering. So what I think is important to understand too is like the feedback. This might help answer like some of what you were asking about, but although this is specific to mastering, but we do, for mastering, we do take incorrect answers across the nation, right? Not just, and so we see where the most common mistakes are made with students, or where the breakdown is, and that's how we build our feedback too, like the immediate feedback. So the immediate feedback in mastering is not just yes, you're correct, or no, you're incorrect. It is like, contextualized feedback where they're getting based on the answer that they gave most of the time, unless they're just like plugging in something, right, and guessing. That's not. But for most of the time, there's most common errors, and you can see here. So students don't see all of these. They're going to see what is relative to one of the most, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 incorrect answers, and that feedback is specific and personalized.
So now we're on to some of the instructor features and capabilities. So the main benefits of our instructor features and capabilities are for the instructor to be able to teach the course the way you want, the way they want. So that's flexibility. So we want the instructors to be able to use our resources, to the exactly how their heart desires, and with no unnecessary features for busy work or anything like that. So we're not trying to take the course design, we're trying to just give you all of the resources to make your course the best way you can. I think a lot of our great capabilities allow to address co-requisite courses. So I think some of the flexibility that we have really does lend itself well, and is lending itself well to the co-req courses right now. So one of the benefits of the MyLabs, the instructor feature, is the coordinator member functionality. So this just means that this gives the instructor the ability to push out assignments or assessments
from one master course, like this one over here, to multiple sections of the same course. So this helps provide a consistent experience for the students, and it also can provide data consistency if you want them to have the same assessments or get the same grades back. In terms of practicality, anybody who's used it knows that if you have 80 sections of college algebra and there's a tornado and you want to give an extension of 1 day on an assignment, you can go to the coordinator course and make that change so that you don't have to go into each individual section to, add a day or have to go in and allow late work. So while some of the things like that may seem like small one-off features, when you're actually teaching the course and when you're in that situation, it turns into a very big benefit. Another benefit we have with our flexibility is the instructor. I think you'll remember this from earlier, hopefully, that there are a lot of learning aids associated with each problem, and you have the ability to turn these off. So if you decide that you think this is too much hand-holding for your students, or if you've found that your students end up abusing help me solve this, and they're not really trying, they're just clicking help me solve this, you can just turn it off. And this allows for difference of opinion also. If I think that I love having it on there, but Suzanne would like none of her students to have, that cheesy animation, then, they can take it off. So the idea is we just want to make sure that you have all of the flexibility and you can use our resources any way you choose. We have more instructor settings. Again, these are hard to demonstrate without, going into the real nitty-gritty of teaching a course. But these are powerful settings that holistically expand what you can do in the classroom by taking away a lot of the administration and basic admin work. So, for example, these different things, you can change individual assignment settings. So if you want to make a global setting, but then you have one assignment that you want done differently, if you only want to give them 6 hours to work on it or something like that, you can very easily go in and make that change. You can also do individual assignment extensions for, snow days or weather, or, if you get sick and you want to give them a few days because they haven't been to, heard a lecture yet, you can easily make that change. You can also set passwords for things. And I think this really lends itself well to online courses or hybrid courses or even an Emporium model, meaning that you can have a quiz set and the student won't be able to access it until they get that unique password from you. So in an online setting, that means you could post in your D2L course, the password for quiz 3 is, TBR111. And they cannot get into that assignment until they enter that password. And then if you want to lock them out after a certain amount of time, then you can just change the password. And then they're not getting in to do it. So it gives you an amount of control. And there's a lot of, if your wheels start turning, there's a lot of creative ways that your instructors here at TBR already use these features. And I think as the programs expand, there's other ways that we can help show you how to use these instructor features. Another one of them is to set learning paths. So again, this is a great hallmark feature. This means that you can set a prerequisite when you're designing your course. So you can say you need to be able to achieve 80% on this assignment before the next assignment is unlocked. So again, when we're talking about Emporium model or any model where students are going to be working on their own without kind of direct face-to-face supervision, this allows you to really set those parameters. So if you want them to know something 100% before they can move on and take the next part, then you can set that. And you can easily adjust the settings at any point during the course. So you can make adjustments if you decide that's too strict of a parameter, Or if you need to add one because you do a lecture and then you decide these students are less prepared in this one area than I thought, let me make them, take this assessment or, look at this learning aid before they can move on to the quiz. The last thing is that we have a true flexible gradebook. So we have a robust gradebook built within the platforms. We'll talk later about the data and how you can export things, and we want you to be able to have your grades any way you want in D2L, but you also do have that full gradebook in the MyLab also. So now we're on to administrator level features and capabilities. So, in Tennessee, you guys have been using our MyLabs for a while. So I know some of these will just seem second nature. Like, of course, I know that. But I also just like to remind you that, these are great features that do allow for a lot of flexibility and a great student experience. So the first one is batch enrollment. So this auto-enrolls students based on their enrollment in the student information system into the MyLab. This means that the student doesn't have to register and they don't have to redeem an access code. So we know that that can be a barrier to students on the first day of class, and I think it's very valuable that based on their enrollment at the school on the student information system, they can be enrolled in the correct MyLab.
So how often does that have to be synced between the two systems?
It's up to you. I think most people do it every day, but it's completely up to the school.
Right. So when we have enrollment, it changes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the general. Yeah, I think the standard is for it to be done every 24 hours. So that means if a student drops a course or if they're added to a section, then.
But we would have to identify. I mean, so I guess my thought, and I don't know. I mean, you guys have implemented this already. We've not done it that way. So students change. Let's say
We have 7 students change today.
Right.
We have to send you all our sections, or we have to identify what changes in registration
Yeah.
have occurred.
It's all automated. It's all in the SIS. So based on the information out of the SIS, every day the same file comes in and it has all of the students, or I guess if we get a lot of volume, they can change it to just changes. But it shows, like, for example, a 5 is a drop and a 1 is an add. So it's all set up, but the file comes in and it shows like 1 add Dorothy to section 6, and then it would be 5 drop Dorothy from section 3.
So does that work the same with like instructor changes? If we have to make
Absolutely.
changes, so that's all automated and that person is taken out. And that
It does.
person is put in.
I mean, I do this manually, just in MyLabs Plus.
Right, you can do it manually also.
And so every day I run a report, extracts it from Banner, gives me a CSV, and then I upload that to MyLabs Plus, and I don't have to filter through and take out the people that are,
Right.
It's just everybody.
You just want
Yeah.
changes.
And if they're already in there, MyLabs Plus says, yeah, fine, they're already in there, no change.
Right.
It doesn't hurt anything to send them up there again. It doesn't duplicate the student or anything.
Oh, right,
It
yeah, you
just,
can-
MyLabs Plus knows the process and say, well, this student's, it says add this student, they're already in there, don't do anything. It says drop this student, they're in there, it knows to drop them. Yeah, but I guess what you're talking about is going one step further, where if you're having an automated process.
Yeah.
And that's if there's direct billing involved, which we did a few years ago when we'd like to get back to.
Exactly.
With the automated process, I wasn't even involved when we did that, and it was just behind the scenes. Somebody set it up so that every day it was just automatically, it would just refresh the rosters.
And it's a scheduler in Banner, so it's exactly that. So it just schedules it every night at midnight, or at any time they send either the change file or the full enrollment file, and then we pick it up and it's processed and then the students are in.
Y'all get hit with purges pretty hard too, that first week?
Well, our purges happen before the semester starts.
Y'all have purges that go on first week?
Well, no like college-wide purges. No, they're purged for non-payment if they pre-register and they don't pay by a certain day, a couple days before the term starts. They get purged.
Thursday prior to start.
Yeah, but after the semester starts, no, it's just individual students that they elect themselves to drop, or if they, register for a class but then they don't pay it or something. But even with the manual process, I do the batch update. I have the ability to do individual students as well. If somebody comes in my office at 12 o'clock, I'm like, oh, I just did today's roster update 5 minutes ago. No, you got to wait till tomorrow. I can choose to do a manual one, individual one.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the key, that it is dynamic with the student information system, and it can be updated. Like, we do have some folks who run it, as frequently as 3 or 4 times a day in the beginning of the semester to make sure that folks are caught up. If they register in the morning, that they're in the afternoon. And that's completely up to you, up to the school, how you want to set that up. And so we'll work with you any way you want to do it.
The next thing is we have true administrator access. So the true administrator access gives global access to all student and instructor activity from the MyLab login. So this is a unique feature that the Pearson MyLabs have, and it's not dependent on any other system. So you're not going through D2L or anything else. The administrator can come log straight into the MyLab to be able to see all of the different course information. You can also set different levels of permissions. So if you'd like to have an English administrator or a math administrator, then we can have permissions where that administrator can see everything under the math node or just everything under the English node. So there is flexibility, but I think the biggest point is that all of the data is there and it is all connected. So it's a very easy way for someone to be able to log in and access it at the highest level. So we have a lot of different administrator tools for the person who's the administrator on that campus, whoever it's assigned to be. One of the main differences is that the school controls the instructor account creation. So as opposed to an instructor creating their own account and having it be independent from the school, the administrator can create the instructor accounts and assign them to a course. And again, that can be done with the batch registration, so there's no manual, unless you'd like to do it manually or there's a one-off, there's no manual process in that. And again, this is something where after you've lived through it, you can really see the benefits. But for example, if someone takes a medical leave and is out unexpectedly, in other systems, you would have to get that instructor's login name and password to be able to log in to manage their MyLab or manage their course materials. And with the MyLab, the administrator has the feature where they can just add another instructor to the course. So that means there's no break of access or break of instruction to the student, and you can just have another instructor in there, and then if the instructor who's on medical leave comes back, then you can just put them right back in and they can take right back over. So it gives this level of flexibility with one-off situations that do turn into the things that become frustrating with using technology at a large scale. It gives this control, to the school. We also offer term management. So again, this is a feature that is all of a sudden loved when you're administering 500 courses or even up to 20 or 30 courses of the same section. But this feature, the term management, allows you to organize courses and course data into customizable terms. So it means if you're teaching, say you're teaching Math 031 in a summer 8-week term and in a 16-week term, it means that you can have those organized into separate areas. So that way you're not accidentally going into one and doing something and then having to go back and make that change. Another thing is if you have a laundry list of 300 different math courses, this is just a great way to organize them. So you can know that these are all the ones that were taught in summer. These are all the ones that were taught in full term for fall 2017. And as you have more and more courses and data, this organization feature becomes a nice thing. Another thing that we already kind of touched on with the enrollment, but you can, we also have different course section management features. So one of the things is that you can extend access for students. So like if you have a student who, for some reason needs to get access to their MyLab for a little bit longer, but you don't want to leave the course open for an extra 3 weeks or something because you need them to finish, then you can just extend access here. So that gives you the flexibility all the way down to the student level. So with access to the MyLab, I know that you guys are doing it. It's done a lot of different ways across Tennessee right now. You can integrate the MyLab the way you're using it right now with MyLabs Plus in D2L. So the student would just log in to D2L and then click a link and it would take them to their MyLab. So I think that's in place in lots of places and is very popular. We also have a different D2L integration. So this would allow for seamless, codeless delivery of our products straight into D2L, all the way down to specific links to sections in the MyLab. This type of integration adds consistency to all of the different courses. You can have all of the D2L courses set up in one way and just have the MyLabs added in a certain section or however you'd like it all to look. It's available for our products, our MyLab and Mastering products, and Revel. And as far as the technology goes, this is a more modern authentication and integration. So we use LTI technology with D2L in order to reach this experience. So here's an example of what it would look like. So you have your D2L course, and then you have specific links that go to parts of the MyLab. So these are things that we can, based on how you set up your course, we can, hide or take things out or rename or, call it whatever you want. But just so you can see, this is it's a completely seamless experience built right into D2L.
And you can use this with My Math Lab right now? Just an individual instructor could go in and do it this way, or does it have to be?
An individual instructor could do this.
Yes, I'm going to pass it off to Josh. Maybe.
Thank you. So it's absolutely amazing to me to see the evolution of these MyLabs, right? The courseware that Pearson is offering and the effect it can have directly on the impact of student learning, right? We're getting right to the crux of it. So getting further, deeper into that, how can we use kind of those attributes of the courseware, right? We went through all the capabilities. Think about every single click a student takes, that's captured as an attribute, captured in data. So what do we do with that data? So let's take a quick peek and reference some of these things. So of course, we're looking at it from TBR-wide. We can also go down to campuses, course, and even the section level to capture that data and analyze it. So it can be provided at the system level or at the instructor level. And how can this help us kind of refine, revise, and implement this courseware to really, again, impact those students where they need it, to remediate them for at-risk students, and really get, again, into the grain of what we're doing in the course. And then also build some history upon TBR as a whole. What are we seeing? What are our tendencies? What are we tracking semester over semester? Okay. And then, of course, like I said, identifying at-risk students. And we're going to look at some actual dashboards that were taken simply from this past weekend and look at your data. So real quick, you saw a bunch of capabilities that Dorothy presented, a wealth of them. This simple problem here has 40 attributes alone that students can click on, and that is tracked. Simply from an intervention, help me solve this, or simply typing on a keyboard stroke, or clicking the mouse. It's all captured, and we can certainly analyze it at any level you so choose. So let's look at our data streams real quick. Learning Analytics Data Stream, LADS. It is relatively new, and we're coming out with a release of this software. And if you think about it, look at what the students are generating. So again, simply from that one problem, there are 40 attributes. If you think about My Math Lab, Pete, if you think about what it looks like for each courseware, mastering, My IT Lab, reading, writing, Revel, all these capabilities that Dorothy represented, just a simple My Math Lab program, you're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not more, of attributes that we're capturing. So we're generating that engagement, those outcomes, those learning objectives that students are certainly pursuing in their courses. And what are the Pearson aggregates that we're grabbing? Anything from the simple course information, author, book title, edition, the learning objectives broken down by chapter, assignment information, what are you assigning? What are students pursuing without being assigned that information? Of course, student enrollment, assignment results, and again, whether it's assigned or not, we're certainly still capturing it. And of course, those results. And where is it going? We can certainly stream it to Banner. Banner can ingest this. But if we look at what you're doing at the local level from an instructor point of view, you have your advanced export. So you can take your gradebook as an instructor, take that out to a CSV file, XML, whatever it may be, and you have access to that data. Even from the coordinator member capabilities, you as a coordinator, as an administrator, can certainly export all that information broken down by section. But if we think about it from a TBR-wide system level, or even a campus level at Dyersburg or Motlow, think about how we can ingest this and really analyze it from a campus level, to a course level, to department level, to those instructor levels. And we'll dive into some of what that looks like as well, too. So as I mentioned before, Banner can ingest it, but certainly it's available in multiple file types, and I think I have that in the outline as well, too. Okay. Again, more about the attributes detail, and I reinforce this as well, too. We showed a lot of capabilities, a lot of content, just from a simple homework assignment all the way through to the ebook and clicking within the ebook itself. Those attributes are being collected. And if you look more about what more is being collected, anywhere from, again, the courses, the enrollment information, student information, learning resources, the activity content, there's so much here that we're collecting data points on to, again, analyze and provide to you to roll up, again, whether it be at that micro scale or that macro scale at the system level or campus level. Okay? And again, we'll send out these PowerPoints so you'll have them and can review the data points as well. So let's look at some of these dashboards. This is pretty exciting. When I got these dashboards, again, these were as of this weekend, this past weekend. We were able to get your information. Find your school. This is strong information. We're actually showing you data as of this weekend. So for example, almost 30,000 active users across these campuses. And what are they pursuing? They're pursuing almost 1.4 million assignments. You're assigning these assignments in courses, My Math Lab, Mastering. So, and we'll dive deeper into the specifics as well, too. But if you think about it from a system-wide angle, TBR can grab this information and understand how are we doing at our institutions from a global standpoint? And how can I dive in deeper at, say, Chattanooga, right, Southwest? How can I get further into the weeds on what's going on here? So let's go through. The first column on the left is, of course, your school names. And if we look at courses, those are courses using Pearson courseware, My Math Lab, Mastering Biology, right, Revel. What are the assignments that are passed due, the assignments that are working with, active users that are pursuing? What are the average score? And the more green we get, that's the higher the score. The more darker red, the lower the score. And that kind of cutoff to get to pink is about 75%, just so you know. And as we get further down, we see grade distribution. In the last column, each box represents a week in the semester. How are my students doing each week of the semester? And as you see in the beginning of the semester, having some rough times, right? Some startups, maybe some issues the first day of class. I don't have access, I'm scrambling, grace period expired. We can eliminate that by going more seamless and getting those students access to the content the first day of class and making sure that they have access to the material and can pursue the content right then and there. So you may even see, and we'll get into some of the further dashboards, some of those weeks are blank. That means students don't have access. What are they waiting for? They're waiting to get their access code, waiting for financial aid, whatever it may be, they don't have access. Let's get further down. And again, you'll get these slides, but yes?
So it looks like Southwest and Cleveland are green from the very beginning. Is that because of the batch process?
Most likely, yes.
And they have immediate access?
Correct.
So it kind of shows you the difference between when a student has access right from the beginning versus...
Absolutely. This podium is waiting for you. Yes, no, that's an absolute point. And I was going to get to that in my next couple slides too. But that's absolutely reinforcing it. The pinker you are, I mean, does that reflect students, maybe half and half, have the access code, half don't, but those students that don't have the codes are missing those deadlines, right? And that's bringing your average grade down, absolutely. And then of course, pinker down the line, maybe there's some learning objective concerns, and we'll get into that as well too.
What are the users on there, as far as the total users? That's not an individual, like, unique number, right?
I'm sorry.
Are you here? Yes. Okay. Users in the middle, those are, my understanding, those are unique users. So there may be some, obviously, that are using multiple Pearson products. If they use the same login and password, sure. If they use the same login and password, that's one user. If they use multiple, that's two users. Good question. All right, Chattanooga, where are you? Here's my example in Chattanooga. So we dove a little bit deeper. So that first slide showed all the schools. Let's now click into Chattanooga as an example. And now on the left side, instead of schools, we're looking at courses using Pearson content. And by all means, this course the course list does go further down. A screenshot can only grab so much. So as we see statistics, we have 58 courses. Okay? And as we go down, 34, so on and so forth, using multiple MyLabs and mastering courseware from Pearson. And as you see, again, assignments this past month, assignments, active users, again, that average score, the grade distribution, and then, of course, the term broken down by weeks. And to go a little bit further to your question, look at the courses that potentially are in seamless access versus courses that are not, and how many weeks. Gosh, let's point one out. And I hate to say this, but you know, liberal arts math teachers, that it's 2 courses. But even that little list of courses right there, those 4 courses, they're missing anywhere from 5 to 6 weeks. I'm not about to count those small boxes, but it's potentially 5 weeks. So what can we do to provide more seamless access so that students have access on the first day of class and instructors can start teaching right then and there and not miss those weeks? So this is not a deeper example of Chattanooga. This is more a structured example for kind of the statement that you referred to as well too. So we're looking at another example of seamless access for the top 3 courses. Those 3 courses have the seamless access. Yes, they're missing a couple weeks. What does that really mean? I don't know. It could potentially mean we're not diving into the MyLab until the 3rd week, potentially. But as we're seeing, if you're not having seamless access, or are you missing the first multiple weeks of school, what are we missing as far as an instructional standpoint? How can we impact those students the first day of class so that they get courseware all 16 weeks and are learning the objectives in your courses the first day of class through the end? Pete?
Well, one thing I noticed, just look back at Volunteer State, it kind of pinked the first week, and then it got redder, the 3rd and 4th week, because our students are using the free temporary access. So everybody should be in there the first week. The problem is more, it's week 4 when they've been in there using the grace period and then they haven't bought it. that week before, and so that's when we'll see more of it. So, you know, I would think the people that are white for the first 3 weeks, they're just not even trying.
Grace period.
Or for whatever reason, the grace period isn't, they don't have access to that.
Sure.
Maybe that's the case, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
there
it's
also
quite
seems to
dependent.
be more than 16 boxes there. I'm
mean,
sure.
Sure.
I think most semesters are only 15 weeks long. There seems to be, so just on the I just noticed on the last one, the Echo ones I think are generally high school classes. Is that right? I just wondered if they're starting a couple weeks before we are, and so the calendar. Because I think if you start where I think there's 15. I know it's kind of hard to count from here, but
That makes sense.
And there's certainly potential for students to continue to use the product, the courseware, after your semester ends. Is that an accurate statement? If you're not integrated, so to speak? Or you
right,
don't have
but like on that last one,
one,
they were like, you know, we're all green at the end, which
Sure.
kind of indicates, you know, I
They're
don't
also
know.
worth it.
There just seems to be more boxes than weeks.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like, again, back to the people who are integrating early, do they get access the week before classes start, if they're already in? I don't know.
Sure.
Doesn't matter, but
It's interesting though, it's all the things you want to be able to look at and know about your campus.
Okay, so courses and sections. I want to see here.
All right, come on. There we go. So now we're breaking it down, not by course, now we're breaking it down by objective within those courses. So for example, on the left-hand column, we have Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3 going down. And again, this is an example. It's not Chattanooga. This is just another example. If we look under Calc 1, for example, Section 200 and Section 400, that third box or third column here is regarding derivatives. We're seeing there that that particular two sections of 200 and 400 are reinforcing the objectives for derivatives. Okay? And then if you look at maybe Section 100, just above 200, you're seeing the objective is not even being assessed as far as derivatives are concerned. Okay? And if you look to the immediate next column to the right of both of those sections, or all three of those sections, you're seeing the application of derivatives. The first section, 100, obviously is seeing a lot of pink, a lot of lower scores. And of course, 200 and 400, we're seeing more green dots, more pass rates, more successful completion of applying derivatives. Okay? And then furthermore, if you look in Calculus 2, the section under power series, it's not even being discussed. Or if it is, the objectives are not being met. There are pink again and lower scores. So what does that mean to me in this example? It means that is there something in calculus, is there something in pre-calculus, an objective we need to reinforce particular to power series? Just an example.
Well, it might mean that the instructor don't particularly like your questions and they don't assign them, just based on the fact that they're assessing relatively heavily earlier and then it drops off.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes the assessments aren't the way you want them to be and are overly, I guess, egregious in their desire for detail sometimes, and it really can frustrate me. And that's the biggest complaint I get at that level. It's like, if I miss one comma, I just spent 20 minutes typing this answer and I missed one comma, it's giving me no credit.
Yeah.
It's like, you're killing me here, man.
Sure.
And so I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a lot when you get up to that level and the questions are so long. It's not like it's the answer is 3x plus 5.
Sure.
The answer is a page of work.
Right. Sure.
And so I think that's
Exactly.
But again, that's nice to be able to look at that and it doesn't necessarily tell you exactly what's going on. It tells you that something's going on.
Exactly.
I mean, I look at that and I say, well, there's not a whole lot of assessment of power series in my math lab in any of the sections.
Sure.
Right.
And what there isn't that successful. So what does that mean? Does that mean the teachers are doing a terrible job? Does it mean they're just not using my math lab for that section? But at least it tells you what to investigate further.
And that's the impact of what we can provide in this data we're capturing. Absolutely. We're talking about it now, right? Where do we need to go? What do we need to assess? Where do we need to go back to as far as a course to understand, or even more, assign
These have to be generated in a coordinator course, so that these are member courses, or?
No, this is
Okay.
data being collected for
Just
any
whatever.
courseware being adopted by an instructor or department.
So two different sections have completely different assignments. They're just covering the same objectives. It'll still pull all that
It's
information.
objective-based.
Right, they're just
Absolutely.
tied to whatever
Right.
it's
Exactly.
identified by another text.
Sure.
Thoughts real quick? Okay. So this is showing
pretty much the same thing, of course, in this graph. So, for example, if you look at, again, Calc 1, sections 100 versus 200 and 400, you're certainly seeing a difference in the objective or completion on the far right column. So you're seeing a lot more green in those derivative objectives that are being reinforced in 200 and 400 and not necessarily within 100. So again, just an example. It's also certainly dependent on what instructors are teaching and assigning.
Is this a feature that can be found in MyLab versus exclusive to MyLabs Plus?
So this is available for Pearson courseware. So it could be MyLabs, MyLabs Plus, yes, but it's collected from all the courseware being adopted across the campuses. So for an instructor to go into their gradebook and try to find this, not available. That is a simple gradebook advanced export. Can we get to this level? Absolutely. We'll need to discuss that with TBR. Again, alert and intervention dashboards, again, just some strong messages here. Of course, within your individual gradebooks, you can certainly identify at-risk students and remediate accordingly when those interventions happening, whether it be help me solve this, or whether it be you as an instructor or one of your instructors intervening. But we see here just a simple predictive model here. You can set, as a campus, as a course, as a system, thresholds of passing versus not passing. And this formula can actually predict if students are at risk of not passing based on the thresholds that you have set for particular courses, departments, or even a system as a whole for that matter, or at the campus level. So something just real neat that the student roster is available. Click on a student and you can identify based on your predictive model and the thresholds that you've described or prescribed if this student is going to be at risk and where, what objective, and remediate and intervene right then and there. Strong. Here's an example of a course level administrator for, again, the same thing, intervening. So as the courses pursue their assessments, the first 4 assessments, you can see what the grade distribution has been based on the number of students. And of course, our percentages on the student risk on the far left here, 25% of our students are at risk. What can we do to define how we intervene, how to remediate right then and there, and make sure that we put them right on the track? And then, of course, the next assessments, chapter 6 and 7, are the next dates coming up that we can certainly predict as well, too. Help you predict. And again, these are your thresholds. We are not identifying them. We will work with you to identify those thresholds. The prediction will be based on your model. Again, another angle of what it would look like for course level administrator, that intervention or alert dashboard. We can see, alerts versus intervening. How many times is the courseware intervening? How many times are you intervening to help remediate those at-risk students and impact them right then and there? I know I'm going fast. I apologize. I want to show you the co-requisite dashboard here. So the gateway course for this specific example, is the statistics course. So this dashboard shows not only the gateway course, but also the co-rec course, which is developmental math. So we can identify right then and here, do we have at-risk students? So for example, we have here progress, 50%. What's the class progress? This student is at a moderate risk in the gateway course. And we can further dive more into what is the issue. Is it a particular test, an assessment, an assignment, a homework, what objectives? And again, get that student back on track. Again, it's a moderate. And if we click on the next course, the developmental math, that co-rec course, now we're identifying, are they on track for the co-rec course? So right then and there, instead of logging out, logging back into another MyLab, we can identify right then and there with this dashboard, are our students at risk in either the gateway course, the co-rec course, and how can I remediate based on the objectives being reinforced?
So this student is in 2 separate courses within my math lab?
Correct.
Right, with potentially the same instructor, potentially 2 different instructors?
Correct.
And who can see this? Can both instructors see this?
So we would need to define who would be able to see this. If you wanted to be at the administrative level, that's certainly available. If you want at the instructor level, we can certainly work on that as well too. So, yes, so
potentially the stats instructor could
yes.
go into their own My Math Lab course. They don't have access to the developmental instructor's course.
Correct.
But they can look at their students that are in that and they can to see what they're doing.
Correct. They can go to this particular dashboard and find that. Absolutely. Yes. And they would not need to log into the development course. So
Right.
Yep.
And they wouldn't have full access to that developmental instructor's gradebook. They'd
Correct.
just be able to see how this one student is doing in that course.
Absolutely. And then potentially vice versa. Developmental
Right, yeah,
instructor.
yeah, of
Absolutely.
course.
Yes. Good question.
So, I'm sorry. Please, you keep describing this as courseware dashboards, is that correct?
Courseware being MyLab, Mastering, Revel, a lot of the capabilities that.
So I think going back to Brian's question, it's like, who can access this information right now?
Who can access these dashboards right now?
Sure.
These are not available to TBR right now.
Okay. So that, I guess that's what we were kind of getting at. I mean, we're just curious maybe if we were maybe missing something that we had access to.
Correct. No, this is not something that you have available to. This is still data that we're capturing right now.
Okay.
And of course, building some history for you, if you so choose to adopt it.
Yeah, I was not sure when you said it rolled out this past weekend. I wasn't sure if the data rolled out or the platform rolled out.
Good question. This platform has rolled out. This is data that I've captured as of this weekend. So the student per student assignment on Saturday, I've got it. Yep.
So when will, if I'm teaching stats and some of my students are developmental math, when will I be able, as an instructor, be able to look at something like this?
This is something we'll have to pursue with TBR to identify if this is a solution you want to offer for the system.
So it would be a system-wide choice, not a course choice.
Correct.
Or even an institutional choice.
We can certainly talk about that. But again, I would like to talk more to TBR as a system level,
Okay,
identify
sure.
if it's a solution they want to provide.
Gotcha.
Yep.
We're not talking about pricing here. That goes into that.
But on our side, it's available to, like we have the capability, we can make it available.
Technology is available.
Technology is
They can
available.
rebuild it.
That's what we're here to say.
$6 million.
I was going to say, just because you have a courseware doesn't mean that we have the dashboard, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Two different
Correct. So,
products.
yeah,
And there is a dashboard,
In the
but
grade book.
there is a dashboard in the grade book right now, but it's not this dashboard.
It's not multiple courses, it's specific to one course, but there is a dashboard in your grade book.
Correct. All right, I'm going to pass it now to Suzanne. Talk about
Our customer service requirements.
Okay, so I know that, like Josh had said, Dorothy has thrown a lot, we looked at a lot of capabilities and features on the student and the instructor side, and even at the administrative level. And so to bring that all together, we don't just hand that over to you and say, good luck, here's your username and password. We look at, how do we do this and how do we do this well? In the past couple of years, Pearson has done a pretty significant reorganization on the customer service side to really address, an optimized customer experience at the student, faculty level. And so we're going to look at what we've done and how we deliver on all these great things that we've talked about. So we get a big picture at first, and that's what, when you're asking about these things, we do, we have a conversation with you, right, with TBR and even with each campus about what your needs are and how, we want to understand your needs in a way that we can efficiently deliver on those things. We develop, design and deliver the digital and print solutions based on the needs. And then install and deliver. We have a highly trained customer success representative group. They work with instructors before and at semester start to onboard faculty. They, from gaining access to functionality to first day of class and to student onboarding. They provide ongoing support, so they give information like whether it be the downtime. Our courseware has a downtime of less than 1% in a year. So the uptime is over 98% for our courseware. But they do make you aware of those things so that it's not, you're not blindsided. And release dates, so additional features and opportunities for upcoming training. The goal is to maximize the impact of learning with Pearson Digital Solutions as you choose to use them at the campus or course level. Onboard and train, we build the digital solutions on your campus and deliver end-to-end installations while coordinating with your D2L administrators. So we're going to talk about, let's see, how we do that, like the people that are responsible, and how we've tried to specialize people in a way that it works well, that we can, deliver on all the promises. So the account manager, you have an account manager assigned to TBR, and that's me currently. So I work with the TBR each campus to identify, what are your standard and your non-standard implementation requirements for courses. We document everything so that we are sure that we understand that we're hearing you with expectations, and we provide an implementation status report to each campus that outlines everything that we've discussed, like expectations and decisions. The account manager is sort of a general contractor, so we try to make sure that we are on top of, your pre-semester delivery. Make sure it's timely and accurate in terms of if we're delivering courses in a, specific integration type that we've kind of talked about. The implementation of course materials, and even a post-semester review of course implementation to see if we can make, changes or improve upon anything for you. We continue to assess evolving decisions and determine if solution scope changes, and again, we do that via review. So customer support reps, I've already, kind of alluded to this, but this team is really great because they truly are specialists. That's what they're designed to be. And so we have discipline-specific customer support reps. So, there's some that cover math, and then there's some that cover, the humanities, right? So they're truly specialists in the disciplines of the courseware that they cover. They're very timely in responding, if in the event that and they're office-based, right? So they're not out seeing people, so they're, taking those emails. They're being both proactive and reactive in contacting instructors. But their inbox is always manned. So that that's the proactive part. They reach out to coordinators and instructors for onboarding and training. And then, of course, they respond to the questions that they get. Training, they do one-to-one virtual training, or, it could be one-to-one course, like, maybe it's the coordinator and then the, other instructors are included in that. But they do a lot of virtual training, and of course supply with self-service materials, since we have a lot of those as needed. The technology program manager works closely. There's one assigned to each TBR campus, and they partner with the D2L administrators on the campus before course delivery. So they're testing the D2L environment, particularly in cases that we are delivering something that you're going to integrate into D2L. They're going to test it and make sure that it works. And get the specifics about the D2L, make sure everything's known, so that it can be delivered in an optimal experience, and that's pre-course delivery. And then we have a customer integration specialist who works with the D2L administrators and customers post-course delivery. So this would be for onboarding and setup, and again, this is in cases where you're delivering the content through D2L in an integrated environment, as seamless. So our tech support, I've been here for almost 7 years with Pearson, and I have seen us really improve in the tech support. I say that, I believe that we've really improved, especially in the past couple of years. So we do have 24/7 live chat and phone. And then, of course, on the account team, we can help. Of course, you have people that you can reach out to escalate in the rare cases that things are not resolved. It is rare that they're not resolved quickly and in a timely manner. So here's some recent stats on our tech support experience. So this is from January 1 through February 28th. So this is spring semester startup, and that's a high volume time. That's when tech support, it's always when semesters start that tech support is really in getting a lot of contacts. So 87% are satisfied with the support they are receiving. 92% of contacts are being answered within 2 minutes. And again, that's during, high volume too. So I think that's pretty respectable within 2 minutes, and with only 2% abandoning. So there's just 2% that disconnect before they speak to anyone via phone or chat. this looks at the most common, or like the trends in why people go to tech support to begin with. Again, this is looking at January through February 28th, 1st of January. And you can see here, when you look at the categories, access code, enrolling in a course, online purchase, sign-in password. These are things that have to do with, you know, just getting up and running, registration. And when you look at some of the, like Dorothy has talked about the seamless integrated environment. So with seamless integration, there are no access codes, right? You click on a link and there you go. Students don't enroll in a course because they're accessing it through D2L, so they're already enrolled in the correct section. So it takes a lot of that. There's no online purchase because they're getting billed in a different way. And then username, password, there's single sign-on. So it takes care a lot of, you know, the reasons that people even have to go to tech support. So this is just looking at what we've already talked about, sort of in a different way, but like TBR and Pearson, our partnership logistics, we, you know, discuss that thoroughly, and then we document it. We provide that implementation report so that everybody's clear on what, you know, we've agreed upon. And then we launch that in conversations too between TBR and Pearson. Work with D2L administrators on integration course delivery capabilities so that we're hopefully providing a very, you know, optimal experience for everyone and taking the steps to deliver on that. We do gather and track the list of participating courses, so and, you know, manage that tightly. We deliver courses to D2L administrator and instructors, and then we begin onboarding for instructors. So this is just really breaking down what we've kind of talked about, but just looking at it at a step-by-step, you know, just chunking it out with customer success reps in terms of how they work with individual faculty members, and from registration through basic configuration, onboarding, creating assignments. Again, they're there to really fully train and help people get into the, but all along the way. They don't just hand it over. There's constant contact as needed, right? To help them assess, evaluate, and even explore new features and functionality or adjust things, make changes too. So the CS specialist, that's the one that works with the D2L administrators and faculty post-course delivery in an integrated environment. So they're going to constantly be looking at each step of the way. They're going to be looking at the course level health report and just making sure that things are as they're in good shape, or if there are things that, you know, going forward for next semester, potentially we need to revise, potentially. Successful implementations at banner schools. Since we have so many, you know, users in the state, we thought we hope that you agree that these are successful. We consider them so. Ball State, I know University of Tennessee is not in TBR, but we do have a lot of, we have a lot that's been going on there for 4 years too, or almost 4 years with these models. And I think we talked about batch enrollment pretty thoroughly in terms of how that works. Banner speaks to. And then we've already shown this picture, but we thought we would just end with like the team. I know that being part of the Tennessee team for almost 7 years, that I know that we really are, you know, interested in your faculty and your students and in the state of Tennessee. So we have a lot of we have a great team, a really great team that is sincerely interested in the success of the campuses. Oh, I'm sorry. I think you're supposed to do that. Turn it back to.
Yeah, I mean, we can't reinforce that enough. It's critical to know that you have representatives here in here in Tennessee that go to your campuses, and many more beyond that come to Tennessee with a focus of TBR and beyond. So that is our presentation. Let us know if you have any questions. I know how we do on time? They had a clock?
We followed those time guidelines. It is 12:02.
12:02. So you have 28 minutes to ask us a bunch of questions.
Or you can have 20 minutes to eat lunch. So we appreciate your time. We thank you for the opportunity. And please let us know if you have any questions. Dorothy, Suzanne, and myself, our contact information is on the second document of the outline. And we'll certainly share it with the folks at home in the presentation as well. So if any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask. If not, then thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I guess, I'll say, please just make a comment since you mentioned us on
Thank you.
a successful implementation. We at Ball State, we did this is before the COREC stuff. So this is maybe 2013. I don't remember exactly when we went with the direct billing, include ed, whatever. And we had been using MyLabs Plus, but then suddenly it took over where the bookstore company, Follett, was involved, so I don't remember the specifics exactly. But so there was, and it was just for one of our courses. It was just for our elementary algebra. You know, we noticed definitely a difference in that course. All of those students, suddenly those students aren't calling me the first 3 weeks saying, I can't, you know, how come I don't have access to my course, or I can't get in, or what's, you know, they're in, you know, and they're not saying I bought the access code from Amazon and it doesn't work, and you know, all this stuff. It wasn't an issue for that course. It was still happening with the other, you know, and it's you know, those things happen with Cengage and when we tried out McGraw Hill. I mean, it's just that's always going to be an issue with every platform you have. If students are going out there buying their own access codes, getting from the bookstore, or they're getting them from a third-party bookstore that's across the street from the college that doesn't necessarily have their stuff up to date with what your college is using. It's a headache, and no matter what platform we're using. So it's we would definitely like to go back to direct billing.
You took the words out of our mouth. I mean,
We would like that too.
and Suzanne showed that document, or that big old graph about what is causing the most issues with tech support. You mentioned.
Oh yeah, I mean I believe that, because I'm the department chair. I'm also the MyLabs Plus, the main lead administrator for MyLabs Plus, and that's by far and away the majority of the students who come in and say MyLabs Plus is broken. No, it's not broken. You just didn't
have to
put in the right access code.
Right.
That's all it is.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with, you know, they're using WebAssign. It's the same complaints.
Sure.
That's 90% of the issues I deal with students that say that there's something wrong with the software. It's an access code issue of some kind or another. So having direct billing
that's so perfectly said, that we want to be able to give those, you know, student contact hours and time back to you to talk to them about teaching them.
Right.
Like if they're only going to muster up the courage to come talk to you once throughout the semester and it's about an access code, you know, that's a wasted contact. We want that to be a non-issue, so when they want to come talk to you about something they don't understand, then that's like, you have the free time, and then, you know, they have those resources.
And I think about how many of those other students didn't even bother to call me. They just it's not working,
They just
and so
failed.
they just gave up. They stopped coming to class or whatever. So
Absolutely. And that's data that we can grab too. If they contact tech support, we've got that data as well too, that we're more than happy to share it. We've already shared it. Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Safe travels back to the campus. Thank you.